Hello, welcome back to the channel. In the last video we had a slightly wet, leaky situation, and I think the cause of that is, I think the heater matrix itself is okay, but there was some signs of leakage here. These are where the hoses go into the heater matrix. So there was some kind of gunk down there, and I've just put another Jubilee clip on the bottom one. I think that's the one that was leaking, so it's got two, and tighten them both up. That should work, shouldn't it? I also flushed the radiator. It was awful, so I'm glad I did it. And I chucked about 2 watering cans of cold water through it before it actually turned from orange to kind of grey. So clearly a lot of rust was in there. So with the system drained, I think now is a good time to replace the thermostatic switch that's currently in the radiator and doesn't actually do anything. I did put in an override switch under the dashboard, so I can still turn the radiator on manually. So if I turn the ignition on, and the switch is just down here. So it's there when I need it, but I obviously just don't want to be thinking about that all the time whilst driving. Hello viewers, I'm Keith Floyd, and the first thing we're going to do is open this delicious bottle of Grauberg. We're going to have a look at thermostatic switches. So this is a thermostatic switch for the Allegro, and this is what switches the electric fan on when the coolant gets too hot. So before it boils over, the idea is this should switch on the fan, and then when it gets cooler it'll switch it off so that the coolant's always at the optimum temperature and it doesn't turn into a kettle. I've bought 4 of these, and the trouble is I think they're just all very old, so they've been sitting around in warehouses for ages, and they just don't work, so the car will quite happily boil itself without the fan coming on. And that's why I installed the fan override switch under the dash. So the first thing we'll do is just test this one more time. I've tested them all, none of them work. But we'll give it another chance. We'll boil it really hard with the induction hob and see if we can just bring it back to life. But if not, we're going to have to bodge it. Okay, so here's how we can test it. I've got the switch there, and I've got my multimeter. So right now it should be an open circuit, which it is, and when I put it in the boiling water it should close, and then we'll get a closed circuit and we get a beep. So let's see. So no beep, and put it in and just hold it there. And Wrocław's only about 40 meters above sea level, so when water's boiling it will be about 100 degrees C. If you're up in the Himalayas you might have to factor that in, but I doubt many people are restoring Austin Allegros in the Himalayas. Although you can't rule it out, can you? But I think it should already have closed by now. We'll leave it in a bit longer. Oh, it's going. It's going. I don't believe it. Okay, let's take it out. And it should close when it cools down. Might take a while though. Maybe I can shove it in some cold water. Oh no, it's already closed. Would you look at that? Let's try that again. There it goes. Okay, how long does it stay closed? It's already opened. Okay, pop it in again. and it's opened again. Wow. Unbelievable. It fixed itself. It does happen. One more time. I can even hear it click. Yeah, I felt it click. That's amazing. Just to be sure. One more time. Come on, do it. Let's go. Yeah. Nice one. So I don't have to... Yeah, it gives a really strong click. So I don't have to take this apart at all. In fact, this can just go straight in. What a result. I'm going to fill this with tap water for now. I don't really know if I've stopped those leaks at the heater matrix end. Oops. So I also just want to give it another flush after the all the stuff that came out when I flushed it the other day. So we'll just fill it with tap water, test everything, try not to get too much on the floor. And then we'll put the proper stuff in it later. There we go. Glug, glug, glug. By the way, this isn't an Allegro radiator. It's actually a Austin Maestro, Austin Montego radiator. It's the same capacity and the same dimensions, but it's rotated 180 degrees. You can't get replacement Allegro radiators anymore, but there are plenty for the Maestro and Montego. At least there were last year. You just have to put your own pipework in, because obviously the standard Allegro pipework won't fit. But as I had to replace everything, all the pipes were all perished, all the rubbers were, and the big metal pipe at the bottom was rusted straight through, so it was a no-brainer really. Then you get a nice radiator that's never been used, and I think they're pretty durable. But the thermostatic switch that came with it didn't work. Hopefully we've sorted that now. Nearly there. Okay, she'll need a good burp after that, so I'll leave it, give it a rock, top it up if necessary, check for leaks, and then fire it up. It's only about 4 degrees, a bit cold, so I'll close the bonnet and give it a bit of a rev, see if we can warm it up. I want to see if that fan comes on and if there's any leaks. noise here is incredible. But if we go around to the exhaust, I know most of the gas has escaped by the time it gets to this end, but there's not much smoke at all. It sounds very rough, but I think that's timing and carburetor settings. But the engine itself, I think it's going to be okay with the new exhaust and a proper tune. I can hear that kind of classic Mini tappet noise. I think we'll move it a bit further away from the house though, because it is ridiculously noisy. So cool having an Austin Allegro just running on your drive like this. See what the temperature's doing. Get in. Yeah, temperature's going up a little bit, but it's just very cold today. Let's give it a rev again. Suppose I could put some tunes on whilst we're waiting. Got my fancy radio here. Okay. 46,000. Just talking. Ah, there we go. I have to switch off because YouTube will cry. Temperature's almost in the middle. I wonder if that fan will come on soon. Even if we don't get that far, I could at least find out if we get any puddles down here again. Hopefully not. Ah, there you go, we're in the middle. I just thought though with all this noise I won't actually be able to hear the fan, but I can always just turn the engine off and put the ignition on. That'll reveal it or not. Maybe we'll try those brakes while we're at it. Need to reduce that idle. Wow, very nice. The brake pedal hasn't lost its softness. I've just got to be careful though, because these tyres are really ready to depart. That was great. And also have to be careful the exhaust doesn't fall off because it keeps doing that. Wow, super responsive suddenly. Nice. Right, I'm going to turn it off. Can I hear the fan? No. Okay. It's all dry down here so far. Don't see anything. The temperature's just above middle now. The fan should really start to kick in soon. Let's check it again. Still no fan. Got a bit of smoke coming from around the coil, but I think it's just some oil that's got a bit hot. I don't see any leaks though from around the heater matrix yet. Give it a chance, but there was no radiator. Might just be it's just not getting hot enough, but don't want to take my chances just yet. Check this out. I'm not sure how, yeah, you can see it even on the GoPro. It looks like the wheel is leaning in like that. Like the suspension's too low, but the suspension's at the right height. I'm not sure if you can see, but the hub is actually straight up, and it's the tyres that are leaning over. It's like they've decided that enough is enough, and 50 years or however old these tyres are is really too much, and they would quite like to leave now. So I think that's something else I'll have to do, is get some new tyres. It's just at the moment we're about to get our first snowfall, so the tyre shops are pretty busy at the moment. So far I haven't found anything that resembles a date code on these, but yeah, look at them. Are they older than the car? Car's 1976. Is this a date code here? I can't barely read it. 0177 510, so 77 or 75? I'm gonna have to look up date codes. They're Michelin though. Good old Mitch. But made in Belgium, not Stoke-on-Trent. Shame. Still cooling down, but that's all dry there. It's completely bone dry. Don't know if there should be water coming out of the head bolts. That's probably not a good sign, but it's also probably not an MOT failure, is it? Yikes. Under here. Okay. Yeah, I think it's feels dry enough. Okay. I guess this is still a bit, yeah, that's still wet. And there's nothing actually inside the heater box, so I'm pretty sure it's not like something inside has rotten through or snapped. This isn't quite wollarding, but okay. Oh yeah, this is wollarding. Yeah, this is more like it. So I think 80% confident is where I'm at. I'm going to leave it overnight and then tomorrow see if there's any suspicious puddles. And then we'll see about giving it another flush and filling it up with real coolant. Still no leaks, apart from around the head bolts, but they don't count, I guess. So time to flush it. Try not to get it everywhere, he says. Like a lot of service items on the Allegro, draining the radiator is really easy, even with my improvised plumbing here. You don't need to jack the car, you don't need to remove anything. Just take the hose clip off the pipe and pull it off the radiator. It's pretty brown. I'm glad we did another flush. Okay, there we go. Bombs away. Considering that water's only been in for a couple of days, that's pretty vile. Better out than in, eh? Whilst that's just straining the last few drops out, let's have a look at this little thing. So here's this thermostatic switch that doesn't want to cooperate unless it's on an induction hob. And, okay. So it is wired up correctly. I just thought there might be a chance that I'd wired it in wrong, but no. It's wet, so it's been in the water. What else is in here? It's the seal. Okay, and that's also wet. Wow, that looks orange. I went back to the kitchen and tested this again, and it works fine. So I got to thinking, is there any way that when it's in the radiator it's just not being fully immersed in water? So what you're meant to do is take the filler cap off, fill it, leave it off, start the engine, and apparently you'll see the level drop, and then you just keep topping it up until the level doesn't drop anymore. So yeah, it's a good job that we're flushing it fairly often at the moment. So I'm going to try filling up properly and we'll see if this fan kicks in. Even I would have to admit it is slightly alarming, all that water bubbling out of the head bolts. So I did retorque the head bolts and none of them moved actually. They were all at the correct torque settings. There isn't any oil in the coolant either. All the times I've been flushing it I found everything but oil in the coolant. So I think it's going to get through its test, which is the main aim here. And I always had in mind that I'd do some kind of comprehensive full engine rebuild, or rather get an engineering company to do one, maybe with a few sensible power upgrades possibly. And so I'm not going to worry about it, I'm just going to ignore it. I've filled it up, but if I give this all a good shake, you can hear there's plenty of wind in the old thing. So I'm just going to run it and keep topping it up. Another hot and steamy situation. It's just the coolant that's been spilling out. So I saw the coolant level going up and down in the whatever this is, thermostat housing. So I put the top back on and then this started to get really hot, so the thermostat was opening and the water's going through the radiator. So I'm going to let it cool down. open it up and see if the level's dropped. Never mind the radiator, what about this? I remember thinking, put this in a safe place so you don't lose it. I've even got, you know, the stupid little thing here, and I can't find the actual thing. I'm going to look for it. I found the safe place. Right, another job off the list. Boot full of rubber. More about that in a future episode. And look at that, the level has dropped. Not a lot went in there though. Don't hear any air in the top pipe. Oh, it's raining. Said it wouldn't rain today. Lucky I've got my amazing new weather strips, isn't it? I can't believe there's any air in that now. This is full, that's full. This is working, that's not got any air in it. These are all nice and warm. The radiator's warm at the top. The thermostatic switch is there. This is warm, this is warm, this is warm. These are both warm. Nothing is leaking as far... Shut up, plane! Nothing seems to be leaking. Everything's flowing around. This works when it's in the kitchen. Why does the fan not come on? Got the fans running, which I completely forgot I had things like fans and internal heating, and the air is hot. So the heater matrix seems to be alright. These controls are completely knackered, but there is heat coming out, so that's okay. It's wet though, my car's wet, and look, there's blue sky up there and it's raining right on top of us. It's like being back in Northern Ireland or something. Thermostat's open, so this pipe's getting hot. Very carefully, that pipe is also getting warm. That's the outlet. That's warm. That's hot. That's hot. I think the fan should really have started to kick in by now. Maybe, I don't know, it shouldn't just go up into the red. And I'm pretty sure this temperature gauge works. And we got some steam coming up, but that's just from the bonnet, that's okay. Oh, windscreen wiper test. I think I'm going to call it a day. Well, got some things fixed. Maybe it's just not getting hot enough, maybe the temperature gauge is out of whack, could be. But the engine is awfully hot right now. I think a little bit too hot. So really the fan should have come on, is my opinion. There's no air in the system. Everything's flowing around as it should. The heater matrix is behaving as it should. I don't know what the issue is. And it's stopped raining now, I've given up. Should be a lovely day. So it just remains for me to say thanks for watching, thanks for sticking with me through that. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, as they say, please feel free to leave a comment. Me again. I've just finished editing the video and returned to real life and started to run some errands. So I'm out here in the Slavic paradise and I've had chance for my thoughts to settle. And I realised the radiator and the switch are not from the Allegro, they're from the Austin, well, they're for the Austin Montego, Austin Maestro, the ones that are powered by A-series engines. And I had assumed that those cars, because they have the same engine in, would have the same cut-in temperatures for the radiator fan, and they don't. I looked it up. The Allegro is meant to cut in at 92 degrees centigrade. Maestro and Montego are meant to cut in at 96 degrees. I don't know why there's a difference in the temperature, but that 4 degrees could make quite a big difference to the reading on the temperature gauge on the dashboard. So you'd probably have to really drive it into the red for the fan to kick in. So I went onto Quinton Hazel's catalogue and I had a look through all of their radiator switches. There's only 137 of them. And I found one that's the same form factor as for the Montego and Maestro, so it will fit in the radiator I've got, but it has a cut-in temperature and a cut-out temperature exactly the same as for the Allegro. And believe it or not, these are used by older Volvo 740s, so thank the gods someone invented Volvo 740s, because it means I've now got a thermostatic switch that will fit in the radiator without any bodgery and should make the fan come on at the correct temperature. So I've ordered that. Might take a while to deliver because it's getting close to Christmas. Everything seems to slow down a bit, but we'll see. There'll be another video on that in the not too distant future. Nature's reclaiming this Cinquecento. Very sad. Be a nice project, that would. Thanks to all the new subscribers, 120. That's 117 more than I ever expected for this channel. So see you in the next video. Bye.